This is the story of my Uncle Cecil, a pioneer in aviation. He was a bit too young to serve in World War I, as many early pilots did. Cecil came to flying through the back door as an auto mechanic turned airplane mechanic. While he was not world famous, he made his mark and shared his love of flying with several semi-noteworthy characters of his time. Cecil was the second son and fourth child of Homer and Mary Pritchett Shupe's 12 children. He was born November 12, 1899 in Milo, Iowa. Soon thereafter, the family moved to a farm near Stanley, North Dakota, where he grew up. Cecil had a knack for mechanical things and learned much from his father, Homer Shupe, who had the second car in the county and owned the Chevrolet garage in Stanley. In 1921, Cecil formed a partnership with Ed Johnson and purchased the garage. One day when Cecil was working in the garage, Earl Vance came by and appreciated the quality of repair work he was doing and recognized an airplane mechanic in the young auto mechanic. Earl T. Vance served as a pilot in World War I and continued flying after his service. He gained fame in Montana as a barnstormer. In 1920, he helped organize the Miles City Aero Club and arranged for a suitable landing field there. He married Esther Combs, who also became a pilot and later a member of the National Women Pilots Society, also called the 99s. In the beginning of their relationship, Cecil was partly paid in airplane rides, which led to flying lessons. On May 10, 1925, Cecil Shupe flew solo and qualified for his pilot's license, number 3857. Licensing of pilots began in the U.S. in 1926. Cecil joined the barnstorming group as they went across the country. He drove the car with extra airplane parts and sold tickets for airplane rides with Esther Vance, while Earl Vance and probably Frank Wiley flew the planes to each new place, from Florida to Montana and around Montana and North Dakota. From time to time, Cecil would fly into the family farm in Stanley onto a newly plowed field with the runway marked by family members lined up waving white handkerchiefs. With the merger of two North Dakota airlines in 1928, Cecil flew a Lockheed Vega for International Airways between Minot and Bismarck and was a partner in this endeavor. This was the first scheduled airline in the Dakotas. Also, 1928 was the year the Minot Airport held its grand opening. In 1930, Cecil became the airport's manager, which included all aspects: administration, gas and oil sales, aircraft charters, aircraft sales, flight instruction, and airplane rebuilding. Also, in 1928, Cecil became a mechanic and then a pilot for the Westland Oil Company in Scobie, Montana, and North Dakota. Perhaps it was through this connection that Cecil met Irving "Speed" Wallace, who was a young man bent on making world records. Speed Wallace, born in 1901, tried out for the 1920 Olympics but was unsuccessful. He then helped coach Olympic champion Charlie Paddock, who competed in the 1920 1924 and 1928 Olympics. In 1922, Speed set a record running the bases on the Burlington, North Dakota regulation baseball field in 13 seconds, and another record in 15 and a half seconds wearing his full catcher's uniform. He had previously held a similar record in Los Angeles. In 1923, Speed drove a Chevrolet 3,100 miles non-stop from Minot, North Dakota to Los Angeles in 5 days and 2 hours, averaging 25.4 miles per hour and more than 600 miles per day, claiming he slept only 2 hours. Using Dura oil and Westland gasoline in 1927, Speed set a record driving 971 miles in 24 hours on a half-mile track at Minot, North Dakota in a stock Whippet number 4. In 1928, Speed ran 1,000 miles from Perryton, Texas to Bismarck, North Dakota, averaging 60 miles per day. He caught 2 baseballs dropped from an airplane flying at about 100 feet in Brownsville, Texas in 1932. Looking for another record, Speed Wallace and Cecil Shupe attempted a dawn-to-dusk flight from Minot, North Dakota to Mexico in 1935, but strong winds and dust storms thwarted their effort. This noteworthy flight was ultimately accomplished on August 21st, 1938. The morning after my parents, Max and Lou Mabin Shupe, were married, Max turned the propeller on the airplane in Bismarck, North Dakota, and his older brother Cecil and Speed successfully made the dawn-to-dusk flight to Mexico. Wallace went on to authoring books and magazine articles and was appointed to do goodwill missions to Mexico and South America. In 1935, Cecil moved to Brookings, South Dakota, to begin a program teaching a 2-year course in aviation mechanics at South Dakota State College, where he stayed for the next 9 years. He also started Shupe's flying service at Brookings, and during World War II started a civilian training detachment to teach flight training. In the early days of flight, gaining higher altitudes was a way to set records. Articles describe various attempts Cecil made. Cecil was a skilled aerobatic pilot, and in 1939, at an air show for the dedication of the Sioux Falls Airport, Cecil flew batwing jumper Manus Mickey Morgan to over 18,000 feet to establish a world altitude jump record. Some sources say Mickey's altitude record was 13,500 feet or 15,500 feet because of the dangers of air sickness and the need to carry oxygen to succeed. When his altitude was reached, Morgan would climb onto the airplane's wing and jump. After 50 feet of free fall, he would adjust his bat wings from his arms to his body and between his legs and soar down to about 1,000 feet, and then deploy his parachute. While Cecil and Mickey did other stunts in the air, this was Morgan's last after a career of 110 batwing flights. Morgan decided to retire when he married Irene Shaw, and she asked him to get a safer job. In 1944, Cecil Shupe relocated his business to Skyways Airport in Sioux Falls, and then to the Sioux Falls Airport, selling the business in 1947. He moved to Seattle and had Shupe's flying service at the Renton Airport. Cecil returned to Sioux in 1966-70 as the maintenance supervisor and pilot for Executive Air Travel, which was started by his son Curtis. Cecil retired in 1977 with more than 20,000 flying hours and more than 12,000 hours of flying lessons. He died in Portland, Oregon in 1985. Cecil Shupe was inducted into the South Dakota Aviation Hall of Fame posthumously in 2005.